Why do you build me up? Buttercup, baby, just to let me down and mess me around, and the worst of all.
What is going on, guys? I am back with another review of a day at an amusement park, and this time I will be discussing this past Saturday's visit to Knoebels. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I got to go back to Knoebels this past Saturday. I'd been wanting to go back there for the longest time since we hadn't been there since 2018 because I had to miss last year of going to Knoebels because of a program that I did that summer, and I'm still mad that I had to miss Knoebels last year because of that. But I'm glad I got to go this year because I got to experience their Halloween event, Hollow Fun Nights, for the first time, and it was EB and I's first ever non-family trip to Knoebels. It was just us, and plus it was our first ever time seeing lines outside of the queue for rides at Knoebels. It was insane, you guys. And number 4, it was my first time ever earthing on inverted rides, specifically at Knoebels. And so, anyways, let's just review this Knoebels visit already. So, when Evie and I first got to Knoebels, we got a shot of Impulse, and then we headed to the Ride All Day Pass stand for us to purchase our wristbands. And after we purchased our wristbands, we went to go ride Tumbling Timbers, and on the way, EB was pretending to pick up a leaf, and then he lost his phone, and so we wasted time looking for it until a woman found it for us. So, lady who found EB's phone, if you're watching this, a shout out goes to you for finding EB's phone. And so, anyways, after that whole incident, we rode Tumbling Timbers, and I thought it was a pretty decent ride, really. It's a nice addition to Knoebels, and yeah, so after Tumbling Timbers, we were going to ride Phoenix, but it had a long line, and so I said, you know what, let's not bother waiting in it. So then we headed in line for Twister, and the line was out of the queue, but we decided, screw it, let's wait in it. Because we needed our coasters in, and so anyways, that was a really good ride on Twister we had. Once it stopped breaking down and stuff, the line moved quick, and when we went in that double helix on Twister, it was really insane, and it was just a really good ride back on Twister. And so, anyways, after that ride back we had on Twister, we headed to. After that ride we had back on Twister, we headed to Phoenix Junction to get something to eat. And Evie got some sort of chicken sandwich there, and I got a great white fish sandwich, and I thought it was alright. So, yeah, so that's my take on the fish sandwich I had at Knoebels that day. I know Knoebels is known for their food, but there was a really good food item that I had later in the day from Knoebels that I'm going to get to later in this video. And so, anyways, after our lunch, we headed to Impulse because we really wanted to ride in on that, and the line was way out of the queue, but as you know, we said, screw it, let's wait anyway. And it took a really long time to get on, but luckily, when we were pretty close to the station, an employee called a group of 2, and luckily we were a group of 2, so we hopped right on. And so, anyways, after that ride on Impulse, and I got to experience the new trains too. They're all right. But the cool part about Impulse's trains is the LED lights, though. I really like the LED lights on Impulse's new trains. And so, anyways, after that ride on Impulse, we were originally going to ride Power Surge, but the line was out of the queue, so we just headed in line for Downdraft then, because I really wanted to experience the new version of it, because I'd been talking about it ever since they debuted the new version of Downdraft in 2019. And yeah, so when we were on the new version of Downdraft, I was earthing on it in 55-degree weather. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I rode Downdraft barefoot in 55-degree weather, and it felt crazy. And the new version is pretty much the same as the old version, to be honest. It still has me tilting to the right when it first starts a bit. And so, anyways, after that ride on the new version of Downdraft, we headed to Scenic Skyway, and because it was my first ever time on it, and so was EB's, and man, oh man, was it a good ride. We got some fantastic views of the rides. As you saw in my park footage, I was able to zoom in on Downdraft because, I couldn't help getting shots of Downdraft. It's the most appealing flat ride at Knoebels to me, and it's my favorite ride in the whole park, too, so obviously I had to get a shot dedicated to it. And I had to, get another angle of Impulse because Impulse looked so cool from the skyline. And plus, I just really wanted to especially capture the LED lights on the new trains because that's when they were really starting to get bright because the sun was going down. And so, anyways, after that ride on the Scenic Skyway, we headed to Power Surge for reals, and we waited a long time to get on that. They weren't sanitizing. They were sanitizing after every single cycle, and not only that, but they weren't loading every seat. But it was worth the wait though because it was my first ever time earthing on an inverted flat ride at night. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. I finally got the opportunity to earth on an inverted ride at night this year. And so I took that opportunity because I hadn't been able to earth on inverted rides at night this year because of COVID and all that. So anyways, after my first ever time earthing on an inverted flat ride on Power Surge, and that was a really good ride on Power Surge too. It was worth all the wait. We headed to Phoenix because that had a line out of the queue earlier, and we decided not to wait in it, so we decided to wait in it this time to make up for it. And sure enough, we ended up having a night ride on it, and me and EB were right. And so, anyways, that was a crazy night ride on Phoenix. Most of the times I'd ridden it, it was just nice and slow, taking its sweet time. Tonight it was just hauling the mail, and it had some really great airtime too. I got lots of ejector airtime on it, and it was just a crazy night ride on Phoenix. It's probably my favorite ride I've ever had on Phoenix. And so, anyways, after that night ride on Phoenix, with no lights on at all, by the way, because that's something they do for Hollow Fun Nights, by the way, and I like the extended queue, too. And so, anyways, after that night ride on Phoenix, we headed to Stratosphere, and something crazy happened while we were in line for Stratosphere. So there was this GP woman, who was scared to go on in, so she was already screaming going up to the top, and then when it dropped, she passed out and she didn't wake up until the ride was over. And she let out a loud scream, and so that was the funniest and strangest thing I had ever experienced and seen at an amusement park before. And so, anyways, right after that lady passed out on it, the ride-op called for a group of 2, and luckily, EB and I were a group of 2, so we just headed right on it, and I was earthing on that one, too. And so, anyways, after Stratosphere, we headed for dinner at this place near Paratrooper that sold cheesesteaks, and they had one of the best cheesesteaks I've ever had in my life. Remember when I told you I was going to get to this item later in this video? Yeah, so Knoebels had some of the best cheesesteaks I have ever had in my life. Guys, seriously, I don't know why, but it was just the best cheesesteak ever. I got it with marinara sauce, and like I said a million times, that was the best cheesesteak I've ever had in my life. I cannot stress that enough. And Knoebels has some really good food, and that's why I can understand why Knoebels is known for their food. And so, anyways, after that really good cheesesteak from Knoebels, we headed to Paratrooper because that was one of the rides we needed to get on yet, and we'd been talking about getting on it ever since we first started wanting to go back there. And so, anyways, we hopped on Paratrooper, and then I went I went earthing on it like I usually do on an inverted ride now. And the ride op moved them down one, and so that relieved me. And so, anyways, while the ride was going, EB kept pointing out my bare feet on it, which was really funny. And after the ride stopped, the guy behind me delivered me my shoes and socks before we even got off the ride, which was really nice. And so, whoever delivered my shoes and socks to me on Saturday, if you're watching this, a shout out goes to you. And so, anyways, after that ride on Paratrooper, we headed to the flying scooters, and my rope was shaking several times. Like, it was insane how I was snapping these things. And the ride op stopped the ride 2 times during our cycle. I think it was because of wind, but I also think when he stopped us one of those times, he was talking to me about something about doing it the wrong way. But anyways, that was an insane ride on the Flyers, and I like how it was decked for Halloween too. They had the white and orange lights on. And so, anyways, after that ride on the Flyers at Knoebels, we headed to the Ferris wheel, where EB was able to get shots this time, because last time we were on the Knoebels' Ferris wheel, EB hadn't been able to get shots at all because his phone died. So this time he was able to get shots, and that was a good makeup ride for him. And that was a good ride for me too, because that was my first ever time riding the Knoebels Ferris. Oh, I forgot. I remember a time where I rode Knoebels' Ferris wheel the one time at night when it was just me and my cousins. I totally forgot about that. I went on the family trip that year, and I rode Knoebels' Ferris wheel when it was pitch black. Holy crap, I totally forgot about that. And so it wasn't my first time riding it when it was pitch black. And so, anyways, after this ride on Knoebels' Ferris wheel, we headed for our last ride of the night on Downdraft. And because I really wanted to earth on it at night to add to the so I would have been so that way I would have been able to so that way I would be able to say I earthed on all of Knoebels' inverted rides at night. And besides, I would just like to say that I earthed on Knoebels' flat rides, all of them, at night. And it felt crazy this year. Yeah, it felt crazy to earth on inverted rides in that temperature. And so I especially was earthing on our last ride of the night on Downdraft, and Downdraft has some pretty nice LED lights too. That's why I couldn't help but zoom in on it and get a shot of it when we were on the Scenic Skyway, because while we were on the Scenic Skyway heading back towards the ground, Downdraft's LED lights had just come on, and I was like, oh my god, I gotta get a shot of this. This looks so cool. And so anyways, I got that shot of it. And that was a good last ride of the night on Downdraft we had that I was just mentioning before I went off talking about how on the Scenic Skyway I couldn't help but film it. And so, after that last ride of the night on Downdraft, that officially ended our day at Knoebels. So that does it for this review of this past Saturday at Knoebels in Ellisburg, Pennsylvania. Reply to me your thoughts on this video, and make sure to stay tuned for more coming to Coaster Plus Music 19, and make sure to check out my merch store on Bonfire and buy a few things. I'll have a link down in the description, and I will see you in the next